It's 9 AM. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you have any cell phones or please mute them. And Becky, will you do roll call, please?
I sure will. Jim Sheeline, Reed Acree,
Here.
Tom Kitson,
Present.
Mike Book,
Here.
Jason Anderson,
Aye.
Tom Wilson, and Ally Hess.
Here.
Do any of the attendees today have anything to say? Dean? Dean? Terry, anything before you? Eric? Or good? Reed, you're good? Jeremy, you good? How about you, Becky? You good? All right. All right, we'll move forward. Do the approval of the minutes. We do have a change in there that we need to make.
Change to
Go
the
ahead,
date on
Jason.
the date on the end of the minutes should reflect the meeting as being August 6th and not 18th. I'd move that we change that in the minutes and then approve them.
Do we have a second? Tom? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Let's see, we have no old business today. Let's get going with new business. We have department head presentations today. And I'd like to start with the EMA, and I understand Seth is not here today. Is that correct?
That's correct. Seth is not here. He's on a site visit at one of the power plants, and so he will not be here for this, but Reed and I will take that on for you. So, his budget stayed pretty flat from last year. We made some adjustments just due to the labor lines on Seth being the EMA director, as well as our part-time deputy director as well in there, because they split it a little bit between the two because he's part-time as well, Seth. Other than that, the only other addition that's really in there is a small increase to the equipment line, and that is due to our need to replace some of the technology in the EOC. Right now, we're going to split some of that cost out from this year to next year, next fiscal, where there's some excess in the budget. We're going to get some new computers, laptops for the EOC breakout room. There's probably like 20 down there. We're going to go to 10, I think. Trim that down, but they're old. They need to be updated. So that's the only real change in his budget lines.
I want to make a note that Tom Wilson's joined us.
Pretty straightforward, Jeremy.
Yeah, one of the easier, smaller budgets we have here in the county. So there's not, again, a lot of changes going on there. It's pretty straightforward. But if you have any questions, Reed or I will be happy to answer them.
Really nothing that jumps out at me other than the ones you already commented on. So any of you have any questions or thoughts on the EMA budget? All right, I think we're satisfied with that for now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Animal control, Terry Zink, how are you today? Would you like to come up and join us, please? Wherever you'd like to sit, Terry.
Hi.
How are you, Terry?
Fine.
Good. Glad to have you join us today. Yeah,
It's
easy
always-
peasy.
It's always like this, though. I don't like to be center of attention.
Yeah,
Is that better?
that's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
And you tell us a little bit about your budget this year and if there's anything, any major changes or just anything that needs to be noted this year, I guess.
So I have, if you look in the part-time, I think is where we put it.
I think it's probably full-time at the moment.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
We would like to look for a couple part-time kennel staff for Monday through Friday. Let me get my note out here. I would like to ask to consider funding dedicated to the kennel staff for animal control for the week. I already have weekend people. You know, every hour that we spend as ACOs or department head, cleaning and feeding and, you know, running the dogs, cats, is an hour that they are delayed in responding to complaints, bites, you know, helping out the sheriff's department, whatever needs done. So I feel like we should use our officers to the greatest benefit that we can and to be able to come in and start our work instead of, you know, cleaning and that kind of thing. I think, you know, paying less for kennel staff is better, what I'm looking for.
Better time
Efficiency,
utilization.
yes,
Time
time
utilization.
use,
Better use
yes.
of-
And, you know, they can do other things too if we don't have as many animals, but I have to say that if you hear on the news or anywhere, everybody is full. People are not, they can't afford their animals. And, you know, we are an open door, so we have to take in bites if they can't get it into a vet clinic, you know, we take, and that's 10 days. And then there's people that are homeless. I've had people come in and say, you know, I have to relinquish my dog, or they come in, they're like, well, it's only going to be blah, blah, blah. Well, then they never show up. So, you know, the county kind of gets stuck per se with those animals. I did start like a TNR for cats. That's a trap and release, just to try to get started with a lot of complaints. So that has also taken a lot of time as far as cleaning. And I'd like to continue that unless someone tells me different, as long as I have it in the budget. Like I'm not gonna, you know, I have a budget for that, and that's in pet population.
So this be all day, every day, do you think?
It would be, I think we figured like 4 hours a day would help tremendously.
Just like
Monday through
maybe-
Friday.
Maybe every morning or something
Yeah.
like that, and then
Morning-
divide that between a couple of.
Yeah,
I
between a
think what
couple
we
of
were
people.
potentially talking about in an ideal scenario would be potentially getting 2 people part-time, somebody maybe taking the morning shift, and someone doing the afternoon, and allowing them to switch as they need to.
Mhm.
But that would, you know, be able to limit our costs. Part-time people wouldn't have all of the employer
benefits.
expenses
Right, right.
related to that. I mean, it works somewhat similarly to what we do on the weekends. We have someone come in morning, do a morning shift and a night shift because the animals need to be fed over the weekend as well, right? So I think that's the way we were kind of structuring it in an ideal circumstance. So
All right.
How many people on your staff?
I just said,
Part-time and full-time?
So 3 full-time and 2 part-time. Mhm.
And there's a 32% increase in your full-time. Is that,
that's where that is
That's-
right at the
Yeah,
moment.
that's where that labor's.
Yeah,
I think
they
initially-
put it in the full-time.
Full-time.
Because
line
it'd
item
be
for now.
essentially one full-time position.
Yeah, well, that's how, I think how when we originally were
First.
talking about, that's how it first was thought of. And so that's where we put the money, but then we thought maybe a better structure would be kind of 2
2
part-time.
part-time,
Mhm.
yeah.
That way it
So
gives
it
you
would
some
be moved.
flexibility.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you had to have somebody be there all day, so be it.
Yeah.
The other one couldn't be there.
Mhm. Mhm.
do you keep data on how many animals you're having to care for?
I can print
the
data,
volume
yeah.
from year to year.
Mhm.
See, I assume the trend is up because of
Mhm.
what you just described. And
Correct.
is the trend going to continue to rise?
Correct.
You know, that's going to put more of a burden on your staff and, you know, need for more services.
Yeah.
You board dogs and cats for temporary purposes until they can be claimed, or how's?
Okay, so there's lots of different scenarios as to why a dog is in our facility. So it could be a bite, it could be we went and picked it up
Right.
and someone hasn't reclaimed their dog. It could be, like I said earlier, if someone is homeless, I take those animals in. If there's like the gas explosion out at, what's the name? Archer, yeah, Chateau Estates. Then, I took that dog in. She is currently still there. They're trying to, there's just so many different scenarios as to.
So how long do you hold on to an animal?
So if they're adoptable, I will hold on to them until we can get them into another shelter. Shelters and rescues are just as full. It has over the years, I've been here long enough that we've only had sometimes 2 to 3 dogs. And now it's just a constant, 4 or 5 dogs. Sometimes I'm full. And
How many can you accommodate?
I have 10 kennels, but I also have crates if I need to, like if there's a weather issue. That,
Do
we need to
you
house.
get to a point where you have to euthanize a dog?
Mhm,
And who decides that?
I do.
You do.
Mhm.
Okay. And the adoptability issue, you advertise that, or how do
Yes.
people know that?
Yes, they're on Facebook. Mhm.
Okay, good.
And we do reach out to the local shelters. And currently we do have a couple that have hopefully promised 1 or 2 dogs that they would take.
Hmm.
So,
How are you affected? Speaking of shelters, is Granny Rose closing, or what's going on? You're selling the,
yeah, I talked to her a few weeks ago and she is in the middle of trying to sell the training center. This is what she has told me, that will help their situation. Cause that's all one. They own that.
okay, when you say training center, that,
Yeah, they
It's
built
a-
it as a training center.
You've never been there? It's a
No,
big, it's a
It's
big,
a
it
big
could actually
building.
be a pretty nice athletic facility for
Yeah,
kids. I mean,
it's a nice building.
it's really a beautiful training facility inside with a, rubber matting and
Mhm.
it's very nice. And it could be very well, I don't know what, maybe the park district takes it over or something like
but
that.
that building is for sale. When you say training center,
She told me they're trying to sell it, but there's things that she has to go through to get to that point. I don't know, if Jeremy wants to. I
You know,
didn't know if you wanted to.
But they have to work through some changes in zoning, as well as getting, splitting up the parcels to make that happen. So they're working through that process with us and the city of Dixon right now.
Is it in the city limits or is it in the county?
It's about a mile, it's within the 1.5 mile range of city
Of the
limits.
city.
So they have to be very involved in what we're doing. And essentially, they're gonna be the authority over what the changes are there.
The city,
Mhm.
yeah.
and I mean, how does that have an impact on you guys, or what?
If
what
they
impact do you expect?
close, I would assume that she would, disperse animals, they take in from Ogle County and Whiteside. So I don't know if she would reach out to them and have them take their animals back, or I don't know how that would work,
Sure.
honestly.
Like, is the animal population sort of, the supply of animals is sort of too large for the
It is.
demand at this point?
It is too large. It has gotten that way,
I
yeah.
mean, just trying to understand
Yes, yes. So.
Kind of like the corn market.
Yeah. Maybe China can help us out.
Yeah, there
So,
you
so
go.
one of the things that Terry, in our conversations that we have, that she had mentioned earlier was, during COVID, everybody wanted to be a pet owner.
Yeah,
Now folks don't want to be pet owners.
yeah.
Mhm.
So you're seeing a lot of folks giving up their pets, trying to adopt them out, giving them to the shelters. You're seeing them let loose, which is putting a tax, is taxing our services for Lee County as well as the shelter services. And one of the other things that in discussions that we have is the burden on that the city of Dixon has for our Lee County Animal Control, as our biggest population center. There's a myriad of issues that come into play with that when folks are thinking that there's authority from Lee County Animal Control over some of the city ordinances and vice versa, and we're still having to go out and assist in those scenarios. So our staff takes on a lot, not just, again, we're talking about the relationships between these shelters and our services ourselves. But again, trying to service the entire county from an animal control service standpoint, as well as the city of Dixon, which again, I know what's in the county, but that you look at the population and the amount of animals here in this community, it's quite large and is a pretty heavy burden
The
on.
city doesn't have a dog pound.
They
does
do
it?
not.
No, so,
They bring them out to us.
You're it,
Yeah.
Yes,
right. The city
Yes.
doesn't have any.
that's correct.
No. Now they will, they'll be like anybody else. They'll try and find the owner, most of the time. But if it's like after hours or something, they have a code to get in
But the
to.
city does not contribute anything to the dog
No.
pound here. Have we ever asked them to?
So we have in the past, I have not had that conversation, but those are things that in talking with Terry, that we're going to have to start having the
Yeah.
conversation with the city of Dixon on.
Yeah, I get.
On at least some
Yeah.
financial assistance, because as we continue to need to grow our staff due to
Number
the
of
issues that we've
animals.
discussed, we're going to need some assistance.
Terry, excuse me. How many pets do you euthanize a year, would you guess?
So I'm proud to say that we do not euthanize too many. They have to be very non-adoptable, or if they're sick, they'll be euthanized. I would say, between 5 and 10% are euthanized.
I think the better question would be how, on average, how long is a stay for, one of the dogs or cats before you're able to
I just think
adopt them out?
years ago, we were more of a pound and you either found your dog or in so many days it was disposed of.
Mhm.
And now we've become more of a rescue, which is within your budget, but it's straining everything. I'm not
is.
sure that's I'm not, I love animals, but I'm not sure that was the purpose of the dog pound when it was originally originated, was to be. And now if Granny Rose shuts down, I'm fearful it's going to be.
Well, I think that's why the stay question becomes pretty important. How long are we caring for an animal before she's actually able to adopt them, or having to make that hard decision, of euthanization?
What would be the average stay, would you guess?
I've had some dogs there for months. I'm gonna be honest. And I don't know if I should say this here. I think there's gonna be advocates that if we have a high euthanasia rate, that there's gonna be complaints.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's not what we're gonna do to make decisions. It's the idea that if there's really not an adoptable option, then we have to set
Right.
some limits. We
Right,
just have
right.
to.
No, and I understand that. If it's not adoptable, yeah.
Yeah, and it shouldn't go on for months, because I own a golden retriever and I know what it costs to keep a dog.
Mhm, mhm.
It's expensive. So, yeah, that's tough decisions, but there's going to have to be limits.
Okay.
Oh, anybody else have any questions, or Terry, do you have any questions of us at all?
Mm.
Appreciate your professionalism in this and your approach to it. But financially, there always is a decision that has to be made. And you've been at this a while, and I know
Mhm.
you know what you're doing.
And
But
it's getting more
it's going to become
widespread
even a
of
bigger,
duties.
well, yeah, and you just the sheer volume of animals to have to handle this. But the city of Dixon really needs to weigh in here.
Yeah.
And
Reed?
provide.
Yeah, I guess, you know, obviously financial concern is definitely important, but Terry is probably runs the only department that is completely self-funded with restricted revenue funds. So her department does not use any general funds and has operated. I mean, so any of the monies that we're paying, salaries, wages, any of that stuff is all generated through services that they provide, and those services are restricted revenue that can only be spent on either in the animal control realm or pet population realm. So I do just want to point that out. We are operating within our means, especially as it pertains to our special revenues.
Well, that's really good to know and
Yeah.
hear, but if suddenly the demand triples and
Absolutely.
you got to have policies in place to deal with it.
Yep.
And you are, receiving a fair amount of fees to help, that goes back into the
Mhm.
program, so.
And where are these fees generated from?
So, impound fees, rabies tags are the biggest ones. Part of those fees, if the animal is not altered, go back into pet population.
So
Which,
if my dog gets lost and you find it and you hold it for 6 days, you're going to charge me to get the dog back. That's
Mhm.
what you're talking about. Okay.
yes,
We had a perennial offender for a while. My family, we contributed some money.
Your microphone's off.
Yeah, we contributed to this fund a few times. You kind of like to roam.
sorry.
No, it's all right. Sorry for the dog roaming.
Well, at least you apologize.
All right, well,
That's worth
I
something.
thank you very much, Terry. You've got a tough job and
Yeah.
probably breaks your heart at times too, so.
A lot.
But appreciate everything you do and appreciate you coming in today and presenting, so.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks for
having
what you
me.
do.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have the maintenance department. Eric England, how are you, Eric? Come join us. Come on down.
Which. And what,
Good.
Becky, what page are we on?
Ready for the violins to start playing?
No.
We got, tell us about, your budget and anything that, we know we've got several years of having to figure things out. And
Yes. So, this is really round 2 for me. And, I've being with the county and not really understanding the full picture until, this year I'm getting a much better idea across the board and
Of the task at hand.
of everything.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately, it's just been neglected for so long, and you're going to see escalated numbers in what I would like to do and what my team can do for at least 5 to 10 years. And after that, if we do get the funds, I think things will kind of simmer down. So, I mean, there is a lot of projects that we want to do, and we have, we've created a good team and a good crew that is willing to put in time for extras and remodels and whatever else it takes. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. We are trying to save the county as much money as possible, even though it might not look like that to you because of what we're requesting on maybe a couple different line items. So I just wanted to make that statement. But yeah, so really there's a few changes. One being salary overtime. We have asked for an extra 60,000 to use that labor hours for projects across the county. And that isn't just one facility, even though one facility can eat up all of that time. So the way we're thinking is that if we can do things in-house, and it's mainly going to be after 8 hours, because simply my maintenance team does not have any extra time to do anything outside of maintenance, or currently falling behind on maintenance as it is. I personally think that we can keep or add realistically 2 full-timers, but I don't want to shock you guys when I come in here and ask for another 100,000 in my full-time salary. So,
But you guys, if you can do more in-house though, I would certainly think there'd be some savings from having it contracted out.
100%.
So.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yes. I mean, the numbers that come in for simple things that we sub out, the numbers are extremely high.
Is that what the maintenance agreement line is about?
Yep, the maintenance agreements, we have, all sorts of things that go on under the mechanicals, the HVAC,
So you're adding $48,000 to that line, at the same time adding $60,000 to the part-time line. Right?
yes, sir.
So why is not one offset the other?
They still don't offset each other. There's specifically on the ground side of our work, just keeping grounds up to date, up to par across roughly 17 acres. We've added two extra lots, one being Eldina and one being Lee Center School. So we have basically 3 days, or roughly 1,200 man hours, just dedicated to grounds.
Are these properties that the county owns?
Yes, sir.
And this is mowing grass, I assume.
Mowing grass, spraying weeds, weed whacking, mulch, plants.
And these properties were added because why, Jeremy?
So Aldina and Lee Center School are part of our nuisance properties.
Part of our what?
Part of our nuisance property initiatives. So we assumed ownership of those through judicial deeds over the last few years. Those will not be long-term county properties. Those are, in process to be demoed, mitigated, and then, developed is the long-term plan with those. Housing development is our goal. So that being said, I mean, outside of those grounds, I do know that to Eric's point, just our seasonal transitions, between mowing to summertime and springtime work, but then you get into the winter season and we talk about plowing. Eric, how many facilities do we have that you take care of, not just from a grounds point of view?
We're at 8
8,
or 9.
right?
And how big's your staff?
7,
You
3
want-
custodians and 4 maintenance techs.
And you want to add 2 people? Is that?
Well, I would, if you would be okay with 2 full-timers, I would gladly take
He doesn't-
two
he doesn't have
full-timers.
that
But
in the
what I'm
budget.
saying is,
Is
yes,
that- is that what's being
I would like,
proposed in the
yeah,
budget?
I would like to add
No,
No,
it's
it's
not. Jason.
part-time.
He's just looking for the staff he has to be able to put in the little bit extra time.
More part,
and
more,
it's gonna
more,
come
more
from-
overtime.
I think what, you know, in the conversations that we've had with the department, from the admin offices is, you know, there is enough work, within our county facilities grounds to add 2 full-time staff. What they are asking for is essentially a seasonal part-timer, to assist with grounds right now. Because, you know, adding in, $100,000 to $200,000 or $150,000 for 2 full-time staff, you guys would look at it and be like, no, thanks, right? So I think we're trying to, make sure that the education's there just to understand the need and then how we're trying to balance it out.
Step at a time.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not gonna go in and start adding all sorts of things that, you know, we need data for it.
If you've got a good team and you guys are able to do more and more in-house.
Right.
And the savings are on that back end.
Correct.
I would, and the thing is I assume, you know, we've got some aging buildings here though. And even the new courthouse isn't new anymore.
No,
So
the LEC isn't new. I mean, we just burn up a compressor motor over there. I mean, we're gonna be spending $10,000, just
Yeah.
no problem.
Tom Wilson, are you with us?
I am listening, yes.
Did you have anything to say? I know you're very on top of kind of the whole maintenance and capital plan here.
No, I mean, I think we've expressed we were talking between 13 and $15 million 4 or 5 years ago. We spent probably 6.5 to 7, well, high 6s, and we got a long way to go. There was 25 years of neglect in the county that we never took care of our buildings, and I've made this point to the board many times that we've got to get this stuff done. We're trying to be, Eric's done a great job with his group, and we got a group of guys in there right now that are doing a fantastic job, but we got things that we have to do to maintain the buildings. And unfortunately, you know, the timeframes, we've been kicking roofs down the road and doing some things that trying to patch roofs as opposed to putting new roofs on to save money. So we're trying to, Eric is doing a really good job of trying to, and Jeremy, to understand that we are going to be having some major expenses, but we also have to be fiscally responsible. And it's a fine balancing act, and it's not anything our board did, but it's just, we're paying for not maintaining it in the past. So, any help that Eric can get is very well used. I know that we just did a job right now that we saved probably 50% by doing it by Eric generally himself. And it was a huge dollar amount that we saved. It was a huge dollar amount we spent, but it was a big number that we saved. So there's, like he said, the numbers are big, but every year they're going to increase by, and in the last couple of years, it's been 11% a year. So, obviously there's money constraints and we just have to be responsible. So that's all I have to say.
And I imagine also along with doing jobs yourself as much as you can, there's also an investment that has to be made in equipment and tools a little bit along the way as well.
Sure.
But that's just part of the process because the contractors, they already have that equipment. But that's why their overhead and cost is so high.
Right.
Jeremy, you got any added thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be a need for equipment that the team would like to have. But part of that, those maintenance agreements, I'm going to go back to that real quick. You know, those are
Talking about you. About what? Maintenance agreements.
those are maintenance agreements that, we have in place for most of our mechanicals. That, our team, if built out properly, can take on some of that. But right now, we don't have the ability or time to do it. So like that's, again, when we're trying to balance out the costs, or the expenses, those are the things that we're looking out and, looking for internally of as we continue to build a professional, well-trained team, which Eric's, department is and continuing to grow into, we're able to offset some of the other expenses that you would see in some of the other labor lines. Just a quick point on the overtime, so the thought is we have willing bodies that have great skill sets that can't get some of the projects done that we need done in the facilities during regular time. Now, one of those projects per se would say, we might save $200,000 on by doing it in-house, even with the overtime costs that's in there. So like that's where Eric and facilities and maintenance, committee is doing a really good job at trying to balance out the need for what we actually have, financially to put into it. And as we continue to develop that, if we incrementally make those changes over the, next couple of years, we're going to see a pretty decent change in his budget lines as well to offset some of those costs. But when you look at, it's a shock factor, right? So when you sit there and you look at a draft budget and you're like, oh gosh, how could a labor line increase by, 50% or 30% this year? Well, there's a reason for it.
Or 600%.
600.
Well, we're
the
talking
dollar
about,
amount is-
600% in overtime. I'm saying if we hired full-time employees, those would.
What is the percentage, with $188,440 change, what is the percentage of the whole budget? I don't have a calculator.
That's a
We're
great
talking
question.
about what an increase of what?
Our budget historically has been around 18, 19 million. So that's what, 1%?
I'm talking about his budget.
Oh, sorry.
30%.
30%?
Yeah.
Well, 160 would be 10%. So a little over 10%.
Okay. 12%. And is it, when you mentioned about the idea of doing more in-house, and I get that, and being able to spend $60,000 more for overtime, I get that. But you said something about when this could help us save as much as 200,000. Is there a way to quantify that so we can understand that?
Easily. And they talk about it at their finance or facilities and maintenance committees as well. But, I'm sure Eric could get you rough numbers on one of the projects that they're looking at to do and what the cost in-house versus subcontracted cost would be. And we have a team to do it. We just need more time or bodies.
And one thing I totally agree that in the sense that sometimes paying a little overtime, everybody thinks, well, cut out overtime, we'll just hire another guy or part-time. And there you don't gain any of the skill that full-time person has.
Right.
If you're paying a little bit of overtime, at least at my company or where I'm at, we found that we're better off keeping that skilled team, paying them a little bit more. They're a happier person, and we don't have extra people around that are just warm bodies that really don't have the skills that we need.
Right. Now, I assume it's time and a half that they get after 40 hours.
Yes,
Right? And when you say you got able-bodied people who are willing, there's always the fear of burnout on overtime too.
Mhm.
People then
Right.
they take more sick days, they don't show up because now they are
And it
burned
needs
out.
to be managed.
Well, that's my point. Is there,
They have plenty of time to take off, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't be worried about too much burnout. I would definitely not have them be working 80 hours a week by any means. I've been burnt out many of times myself. I know how it is, so I don't want my team to get that way either.
got it, okay.
And even if it was a $60,000 overtime added expense to us, I'm not guaranteeing that we can even have our team do that.
Right.
I mean, I would love to do that. I think they
But-
are willing, but it's just,
Right now, the workload.
it's not a mandatory thing.
Right now, it sounds like the workload is just maintenance right now and not really having all the time you need to do the little more upgrades that we're needing.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about a couple of the in-house projects in-house projects that need to be done just within the facilities. And we're not talking big general maintenance things or HVAC or roofs or any of that stuff. I mean, we have, department requests for remodels all the time. We have, updates to bathroom facilities or fixtures or all these things that, the team outside of their general maintenance and grounds upkeep, scope of work have to try to find time to say, hey, I mean, let's just pretend, at some point there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this building.
We have 77 outstanding work orders right now,
Mhm.
just in our department.
So listen to all this and a lot of great points. The mowing, extra mowing will fall, our lawn care will fall off as fall comes on for those two properties. And we hope to divest of those by next year, correct?
Mhm.
So all that said, and all the wonderful points, would we be better than having more increased overtime to add one employee and have a good employee that knows what's going on, to your point, to help you out? Would that, I don't want to try to manage your business, but would that be better for you than to have the additional overtime?
It's possible.
I mean, we're talking $60,000. What's an employee cost us today with everything?
We've been talking about $100,000 per person.
Okay.
Kind of roughly.
You're in the ballpark, but, yeah, of that amount, right? Depending on what that starting wage is.
Yeah.
And if they're full-time, right, then they're gonna be part of IMRF.
I mean, I know it's it's expense, but
Yeah,
we as a county have added properties. We've not added people to take care of them. We know that we've got problems, as Tom said, that have followed us for years down the road. And I'm just wondering if we're better to bite the bullet and add,
it's,
we can't afford two, I'm sure, Eric, at this point. But if we added one, would that,
That would help.
but would it be better
I
than
don't
the
know if-
overtime?
I don't know the
Just
answer to
throwing out
that.
another,
based on the numbers that are in here, because there is the overtime amount and there is, an amount in the salary normal for that part-time person. That's probably pretty close to what
Okay.
an equivalent full-time person expense might be.
Because-
Give or take,
because I realize what's involved in taking care of those two properties we're talking about, but our goal is to divest of those before.
But there'll be
Summer.
another property or two
Well,
that
I
may
mean,
pop up along the way,
Well,
you know what I
there
mean?
may, but I mean, we haven't had those properties for years. And
Right, just,
we got these through the whole abandoned properties thing. And our goal is to get rid of those and put them back on the tax roll, which again brings some more revenue back in. I'm just throwing out another option to
Mhm.
whether it might be.
I mean, we got to look at options of getting rid of shrinking our property's footprint down somewhere, somehow. So,
Yeah, and even outside of the properties, I mean, we're talking grounds as one piece of the puzzle here, but that's not,
Right.
at the end of the day, it's how do we not just take care of grounds, but how do we take care of the projects in the facilities and the general maintenance consistently and efficiently, while trying to save dollars? And what's the best way to do that?
and another thing is just to let's just get real. So we are not trying to be a contracting service. As we go down the road and Eric's professionalism has allowed us to do a lot of really good stuff because he's of his construction background. We're not in the construction business. We're in the maintenance and facility business. And we're not looking to be in the construction business. There is projects that we can handle and there's projects that we can absolutely not handle. Because we need, plumbing assistance and all this other stuff, electrical stuff. I mean, and I think what Eric's trying to do is do what we can physically do in the scope of work that we can handle. We don't want to do anything extra that we can't handle.
So would you rather have the overtime or would you rather have the extra person?
As I know Jason's sitting there, I know I'd rather have the overtime than the extra person because once we get the buildings to a certain point in time, you ever see the government shrink people or take staff down? I just don't see it happening. I mean, what happens then? I'd rather have an expense line every year to have our guys take the overtime hours, and it's also going to help them build more experience in the trades or in the in that realm.
So
What kind of turnover issues do you have? Do you have Mr. Turnover?
Not since I've started.
Do you have, you got any upcoming retirements?
Potentially one, yes.
Potentially one?
Mhm.
Yep.
Actually, potentially two.
Thanks, Tom. Between you and Eric, I'd take your recommendation. I was just throwing that out as an option to see how.
no, I
We
think
can-
it's,
we can
I think
take-
that's fantastic. I just want to make sure, Eric, we want to give the county the best opportunity and save the most amount of money. That's all this is all about.
Right, right.
That's all we've been trying to do, guys. That's
And we're
it.
all on the same page with that. Just take your recommendation very seriously because you guys are closer to it.
But your point, Tom, is well taken in the sense that if you got a retirement that's coming this year,
It'd be next year.
I mean, next year, then it'd be time to then hire somebody.
Exactly right. Exactly
Okay.
right. And then we don't have that's exactly correct.
Yeah, and so go with the part-time, go with the overtime now and look at the idea of the additional.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Good talk.
All right, and do you have anything else you'd like to hit on at all, Eric?
I think we kind of got it.
Well, I sure
think so.
appreciate all the facilities look and,
betcha.
and, I mean, you walk into this courthouse and this is basically the only one I presently walk into on a
Mhm.
regular basis. And my floor, my shoes squeak because the floors are clean. I mean, it's a nice
Yeah.
facility for.
Our
an
people
older
take
building.
pride in what they do.
Oh, they do a great job and you
Yep.
can tell and they're always cordial.
Yep.
No, so.
I don't want to get into a long conversation about this, but has there been a conversation when somebody said something about how old this building is? Has there ever been some discussion about the idea of the county building a brand new facility and create economies to scale where departments are kind of working together, cross-training? In Rochelle, we bought a tractor dealership and we consolidated the streets department, the maintenance department, and put equipment and personnel in one area that was very, very efficient, very effective.
Well,
But has there
Jason,
been a
Jason, I would nominate you as that person to head that up for our county to look into something like
Well,
that.
I wasn't looking for another job, Tom. I was just asking if there's been any thought put into it.
No, we're just trying to get everything right now, but I appreciate the forward thinking. That's what we have. We need to do a lot of forward thinking, and that's a great point and something that we need to look into. But for now, we're just trying to get our ducks in a row.
Well, why don't you and Chairman Olson and I and maybe a few others sit down and start brainstorming that?
That would be fantastic. That would
You
be
want to
great.
talk to the chairman about that?
I would be more than happy to do that.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
You
Eric.
betcha.
And appreciate you.
Yep.
Yep, for what you do and for coming in today and presenting. So, all right. Have a good day.
You got a big job, man. I appreciate it.
Does anybody need to take a break or can we go on to highway? All right, sounds good. We've got next on the agenda, we have highway and solid waste departments. Dave Anderson. Morning, Dave. How are you? Good. Thanks for coming in. Tell us a little bit about your budget today and what you see for this year.
What are we
Come
starting
here.
with here? Are we going solid waste or highway?
What,
you wanna do?
whichever. Yeah. Let's do highway, please.
Do highway stuff? All right. Well, we essentially have 4 different funds to go over. Okay, we're talking about highway. You got county highway up there now, okay. Okay. Really, there isn't like a ton of new information or a bunch of big changes or really anything in this budget. A lot of it is status quo. Any increases are going to be just labor increases and such with standard increases. Really not going to know exactly what the total labor cost is going to be until negotiations are complete. So those will be negotiated here shortly. So it's a bit of a guess at this point. So that number will definitely, I would say, definitely fluctuate one way or the other. Like I say, a lot of the other things, and then everything that follows along with that, whether it be health insurance, IMRF, FICA, that's all going to follow along with the wages.
You have no control over that anyway.
And we got no control over that anyway. So in terms of everything else, it's fairly status quo. And I would point out one reason, say, like our line item there for 85,000 under maintenance, that stayed status quo. And, with costs going up and everything, I still feel fairly comfortable leaving that. And the reason is we have invested in some equipment in the last, say, 5 years in particular. And it's kept our maintenance costs or our repair costs in check by doing so. So that's been a positive. And, you were just having discussions on overtime. I have $60,000 plugged in there. I'll just tell you, that's just a flat out plug number. I have no idea what that's going to be because that's completely weather dependent. If you believe all the forecasts, looks like not so bad of a winter coming up, but who knows? Who knows? And I'll get into that a little bit more too when we discuss motor fuel tax and how it relates to salt. But other than that, it's like I say. One thing I would point out: $350,000 in the equipment line item. We've had that in there the last couple of years, and that has primarily been used to purchase trucks. I think, whatever. When I submitted my budget, there was a comment in there I think you can find in your program. This year we're going to forego trucks, but we have some other pieces of equipment in mind that are going to hopefully make us more efficient. That would be a track skid steer, mini excavator, and an attachment in specific for the skid steer, which would be a road widener attachment, in which we could put down a lot more shoulder stone on our own. We wouldn't contract that out. We could. It's attachment. You get on the skid steer. It's got a belt, augers it off to the side, screeds it off, and then it pushes the truck. And we'd be able to run our own trucks and do that ourselves and not contract out and hopefully keep shoulders in better shape that way. That's just one thing we can do with it. We've got our older skid steer now. It's a wheeled skid steer. It's got limited accessibility into difficult terrain, but our guys figured out with a grapple on it that it makes them way more efficient when we're going through and cutting trees back and such and chipping and all
working
that.
through ditches, I imagine.
Yeah, there's a guy in a boom truck, he's lopping everything off, and then the guy in the skidder goes, he just grabs stuff with a grapple, drags it over to the chipper, or they saw it off, and if it's too big a log, he grapples it up and throws it on a truck, and we take it, dump it. But anyway, it's worked out way better than a backhoe. So
Is the equipment, at least in the truck side of things, I know prices have kind of at least flattened out the last couple of years. Is the equipment done the same, or is it still going up every year?
It's still going up some. I mean, I don't think the quotes I got in order to put in this budget were, I thought, fairly reasonable, honestly. And as a municipality, we get pretty big discount. So.
Well, and I think anything that makes your time where you've got guys out at a project, make it more efficient, that's.
And that's with the skid steer, with the mini excavator. We've got plans for that. Obviously, we can get down and around and in around bridges and stuff easier than we can with a backhoe or a larger excavator. And then when we are replacing culverts on a particular road, that's probably going to do a fair amount of the work. And with that and a backhoe, we kind of got it figured out to where we're gonna end up doing more in a day, you know, maybe we can hit 2 a day versus 1 a day, that kind of thing.
Would you
So-
keep the wheeled one for now, or?
We're eventually going to get rid of it, but we're going to keep it for now. And the real reason we're going to keep it for now is that intergovernmental agreement we have with South Dixon Township on the salt storage. Our Dixon, where we keep our salt currently in Dixon at the food pantry there, we have a loader there, actual end loader. It's an older one, but we keep an old end loader there. We need something to load salt with at the South Dixon facility. Once that, in the future, the new building comes along, where we've got a plan and we got salt storage there, we'll use South Dixon then, and then we won't need the Dixon. And then we can put our loader at South Dixon, get rid of the old skid steer.
And I'm getting up to speed here a little bit. Do you find that the equipment that's handling salt, do you need to rotate that a little more often just because of the
Well, we keep it for quite a while,
yeah.
and it
Just
shows.
has a
It
higher
shows.
maintenance?
It shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on reviewing the fixed asset reports that Dave and his team meticulously keep, there's some older stuff there by far. Stuff from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s on there. So we like to keep stuff as long as it still runs.
Well, it's just, as long as you got the guys that can maintain them and then,
Yeah. So far, so good. Eventually, the old loader that we have, it'll have to go, but it's working for now, so we're gonna keep using it.
just real quick, your changes of positions, that's, you're a year or two into it now, that's all worked well, as far as like the, maintenance and the
Foreman.
repair,
Foreman.
the guys in the shop.
Oh, yeah, with the new hires?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, over the last, say, 3-4 years, absolutely.
Okay.
That's worked out fantastic. It really has. My biggest concern is I think you remember taking the mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
who I thought a lot of, and we never sent things out to a shop when he was around. Taking him and moving him to foreman was that, oh no, how am I going to find a mechanic to replace him? But I did, or they came to us. I didn't find them. I'm not taking credit. I got a good mechanic. So
Awesome.
yeah, very good. That's worked out. So yep, got a real good crew. Very good crew.
Good to hear.
Yep. Works out pretty well. The guys like it. I like it because you end up you're a little more efficient with your time when they're working 10-hour days. It's basically a day less that you have to mobilize out to go do something. You know what I'm saying? So you're doing more throughout that 10-hour period, and the guys like it, and it makes us just a bit more efficient. Yep. I mean, that's all up for negotiation again, of course. And so if they didn't like it, they'd have that opportunity to switch it back, but I really don't think they're going to do that. So.
You're gonna go to the revenue side?
Sure. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead. You got a question on it?
Yeah, under special bridge versus culverts materials.
Yep.
You have a year-to-date 26.8, estimated, and then there's 150,000 budgeted. How does it work when you don't spend your money, or will you spend it all?
Okay.
It says
Which one are you looking at?
It's
in
under
particular?
special bridge, third from the bottom, culvert materials. You've got year-to-date 26,867.
Yep.
And then you got budgeted 150,000. Are
Oh,
you gonna spend the 150,000?
Okay. So you're on the special bridge now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're switching funds.
Well, I thought you were there. I'm sorry.
Yep, we're switching funds. So, yep, we can switch funds. All right, so on to special bridge. Yeah, that just stays there. It really does. But I'm going to say when this was ran, we've had some more culvert expenses probably since this was run anyway. But and That's, again, that number is a bit of a guess too. I mean, we can figure we're gonna use.
Well, I know,
so
understand
much
all of it is kind of a guess. I
on
mean,
that,
yeah,
but
there's-
it stays there. It doesn't go anywhere.
So when you have 150,000 requested for the next year and say
Yep.
you've got 50,000 that you didn't spend,
Yep,
how does that actually, how do we reconcile that?
it just stays there. It doesn't go anywhere.
It goes into
It just stays
fund
in the balance.
So.
Stays in the balance.
So if you look kind of at the kind of bottom there where it says actual projected end FB fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fund balance is essentially our revenues less our expenses over time. I know when there are brackets around stuff, right? Everybody thinks that's negative, but you actually want that in your fund balance. You want that to be a higher negative balance. It means you have some excess funds. I would say in Dave's particular case, he probably has a lot more fluctuation in his fund balance due to the nature of like projects and whatnot, right? He can have projects that cross fiscal years where, you know, hey, it's a big project. We're saving up. We need to do this. And so we've kind of built up a fund balance. And then when
Makes
we
sense.
have that, we can go do that project and we'll spend it down.
And while we're there,
Yeah.
a question, between these three funds, special bridge, federal, secondary, there's an interest income line. So you break out the interest off of the reserves or the excess in each of these various accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let
So
Reed
some
answer
of
that.
them are actually required to be in their own bank account based
Right.
on IDOT and state of Illinois statute. So like when we were talking the other day about commingled funds, most of the highway stuff, most of the large dollars are required to be in their own bank accounts. So those are just interests that we're getting
How are
from.
those invested generally? Reed, in local banks? How's that done?
Yeah, mostly local banks with CDs. We've got some agreements with some institutions that if we keep a certain dollar amount there, we'll get a higher interest rate. So the statutes and rules for keeping them kind of segregated kind of hurts us maybe a little bit because we can't necessarily go out and invest that portfolio like we would others. Theoretically, we could, but it'd just be a lot harder to manage. But we've got some things in place with our local institutions to try to help us get as much as we can out of interest income.
Okay. And Dave, under federal aid secondary matching, you've got engineering, $50,000 additional. What is that going to go towards? What are you, the engineering line?
That'd most likely be specifically for some bridge projects. You know,
And this is
just-
outside engineering. This is.
Yes,
not-
correct.
Do you have any
Correct.
internal engineering?
yeah.
You do, but
Oh, we
this
do,
is,
we do a lot of it.
this is,
This is just kind of over and above what we're able to tackle.
okay. And then the one,
And I gotta just say on a bridge job, we do most of the survey, we get the road plans put together, we do all the hydraulic work, and.
you're talking in-house.
In-house, and then what we have to do then, because it needs a structural seal, we ship the structural off to a consultant. They do the structural drawings, and then we package that all together and get it bid out, and then we do the construction engineering.
And then lastly, under county motor fuel tax, the third from the bottom, miscellaneous revenue. We've got a number there under estimated year end, $1,033,000, and it was year to date, 688,000. What, can you explain that number under miscellaneous revenue? See where it says 1,033,290 under miscellaneous revenue, county.
You're on motor fuel tax now, right?
County motor fuel tax.
Yep.
yeah.
There's miscellaneous revenue.
And it's estimated to be $1 million, 1,033,000.
I did not have anything plugged in on mine.
What line are we looking
Uh,
at?
Yeah, go down, scroll down to.
County motor fuel tax, third from the bottom, miscellaneous revenue, it's, you've got estimated.
Oh, that's
That's
yeah, I don't think that's something that we normally get.
What?
It's very high this year. We just received a check from I believe, the state for 600 and some odd $1,000.
So 688,000.
Right. I would say we normally don't, but we don't budget a whole lot for miscellaneous
Oh,
revenue.
I know what that one was.
Yeah.
I know what that one was in particular. Okay. In particular, that one was, okay, there was a call for funding. It's called the Local Projects Funding Program that IDOT came up with last year. They threw out $500 million to locals. You applied. It was kind of a competitive deal. We got one of our projects I put in for. I just threw in about 5. I got 1. And I said, what do we, and they'll front the money on the project, 90% of it. But it's 100% paid by the state. And they said, well, put it in your motor fuel tax and spend it like motor fuel tax. That's what that is.
Okay.
That
So that's
in
where they plug the
particular.
number in.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is.
And that's the check Reed was just talking about.
Okay.
And so that, yeah, I mean.
It says miscellaneous revenue, you think,
Yeah.
wow, $1 million of miscellaneous.
And it kind of ended up being, was kind of like, it was.
You
it's
had to
a-
have a place to
Yeah, I
park
had
it,
to have the place to park it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I understand how that works.
And then I think they're going to do it again next year. A little bit remains to be seen. It's going through, state budget at this point,
Yeah,
but
'cause they took all
And I
that
would-
money away.
I would say, obviously
Yeah,
we
and
didn't
you gotta
budget
clamor
for
to
it
get it
last year.
back.
We didn't know we were going to get it, and sounds like, hey, potentially this is something that they're going to do again. But
I think
what
that's
we would
great.
just do is if our project got picked, right, and we're going to get excess revenue and we're going to have excess expenses for that, what we just do is a neutral budget adjustment saying, hey, we had unanticipated revenue here. Kind of what we do at the end of the year for our grants that we don't know we're going to necessarily get. We had unanticipated revenue. We have expenses to go against it. It's a net neutral budget adjustment. And it makes our accountants happy because we don't have appropriations over our budgeted.
The only concern I have is that I know that when a unit of government gets a slug of unexpected money and it shows up in your budget, and then you're thinking next year, okay, it's going to be there again next year, and it's not.
Yeah.
So,
and this, even if that program goes through, for 2027, there's no guarantee we'll get a
right.
job. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And you've compensated for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can
Well,
see
the
that.
nice thing was you didn't have to front the money or, front the money on a project.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And the execution of what they call the joint funding agreement, that was our authorization to spend that money. So we don't need you won't see as a board another resolution come in for that.
And
So
have you had the occasion in this last year recently to apply for EDP money through IDOT? In fact, have you ever been much involved in EDP funding?
no, there hasn't really been a particular project that's been suited,
that would qualify.
qualifier suited
Right.
for
Well,
that. Yeah.
there are a number of economic development projects that are, of course, being looked at, as we've been talking about this for about 10 years
Or more.
in the county on Stewart Road.
Right.
And so EDP money is where we would typically go in Rochelle to make those road improvements, and that would be a 50% match up to
Right.
$4 million. So, I mean, that's a conversation. If a project comes along, we will need to be prepared to have that. Do you know the people in the EDP department at IDOT?
No.
Okay. Well, Sam
No.
does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You mentioned Stewart Road. We are going to kind of Band-Aid that this year. That is a project we've got. It's been too long. I got to do something to it, even though it might get ripped up, but it's probably a 5 or 10 year Band-Aid, but we got to spend about 380,000 on it.
To do what?
That's this year. That's not this budget we're talking about. It's this year's budget. Just a little mill and fill job.
Uh-huh.
Smooth it out just a shade.
Well, when a time comes, there needs to be a conversation between you, the city of Rochelle, RMU, and dealing with the whole easements and all the things that need to be done for that road improvement. Because I do still believe, and I'm very optimistic about this, that with all the infrastructure investment that's been put into Lee County in that area for economic development, there's going to be something major that's going to happen, and it's going to involve a lot of work on road and utilities. And I think we have to have a plan.
Well, of course, the one that you and I are both a party to, that give me the name of the consultant that
This,
was
the
working on that.
WPA
Yeah,
study,
yeah.
the Stewart
yeah.
Road, access to.
We've at least got a framework to work off of
Right.
to build that whole thing out.
Right.
Yep.
But there's a lot of utility work and stormwater detention and a whole lot that needs to be coordinated. And you were talking 2 units of government, Rochelle and Ogle County, Lee County. And I think we just need to have a really planning meeting.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
Tom Wilson, would you want to join me on that committee? He's probably not there.
All right, Dave.
Yes.
Is there any, we kind of ran down through them all, maybe not quite in the order.
Yep.
But generally in the order. Is there anything else that you needed to hit on?
Sure. If you have any questions more, you can look, some of the attachments that should be in your program there. You'll see a sheet looks like this, which would be a budget attachment worksheet, say for County Special Bridge. You'll see a budget attachment that is county matching. It'll just give you a little more detail because you got like a big number there, say on county matching, you're like, well, what's all that for? Well, it's on this little sheet here. So you can go back and review that at any time. We don't need to cover that in great detail unless you want to.
Becky, is that in the resources?
We can make sure that it gets there.
Okay. All right.
And solid waste?
Yeah, at any rate, I was going to make a comment on, you'll see on a motor fuel tax real quick as well. So you're going to budget a number that you see there, right? And it's going to go through the budget, but then you're going to see a resolution in about November or December that's going to be basically the same number, okay, that IDOT wants. And it's based on that. And again, you should have that document as well. It's based on that. And technically you've already appropriated the money, but IDOT needs it specific. Okay. So you'll see that come through. And, I was going to say in terms of salt, salt is one of the items that's on the motor fuel tax maintenance, list. And, couple things on that. Eventually we have 2 locations that we get salt and we have to order from 2 locations. We have to put in an order, put in a bid request for 2 different locations. One in Amboy, which is where we get most of the salt, couple thousand tons. And then we get 400 tons in our Dixon location. CMS put those out for bid and we did not get a bid for the Dixon location. Did not get a bid. And there's probably, I don't know, 50 or 60, maybe more, probably more than that, statewide that didn't get bids in different locations. They didn't get a bid for salt. So we didn't get a bid for that. I'm not too shook up about it. Again, I'm going to take the risk that the weather people know what they're talking about. It's not going to be a harsh winter. And I might not need that 400 ton.
But it is concerning.
But it is concerning. What I don't have, the number I don't have is the dollars per ton bid for the Amboy location. That's not out yet. But for whatever, and I plugged in $100 a ton. And we were at, where were we at last year? $87 a ton. Okay. Well, it's kind of a roundabout way, but Boone County found out what theirs was. Their bid was, and it was about a 23% increase from last year. So that would put us at 107 if that, and it's not gonna necessarily correlate exactly, but that 20% range. So it shouldn't be too far off, but interesting times in the salt business.
Is it, did you hear any reasons why they?
Did not. Did not. Nobody really knows. Well, somebody knows, but most of us don't.
It's
out here.
It's been over 18 months since I was over in Rochelle, but I worked on a number of projects about transloading road salt into Rochelle. There was a couple companies that wanted to distribute salt out of Rochelle. If you talked to Sam to know if there's anything like that on the horizon?
I don't know. I haven't
We were
heard.
talking about Again, the benefit to Rochelle would have been the salt would have all been stored.
Railed in and then transloaded off
Yeah,
on
they would have
trucks.
brought it in on rail and then loaded it into building, into like a hoop building.
Yeah, right,
And-
right.
Regional municipalities could get their salt from right there. But those projects that's been a little bit, but it's something to talk to Tom Demmer would actually know more about that.
Okay. That would definitely be useful to all the
It
local
would be.
agencies in the region. Yeah, for
Huge.
sure.
Anything on solid waste
Um,
that jumps?
no, there really wasn't a whole lot there that changed. I mean, the fees collected, I mean, that's, who knows how many tons are gonna come into landfill there, so we just kept that status quo. You can change it if you want. I would say in general, the dollar amount requested has gone down. I cut our contractual services some because, we're not gonna get the number of pulls off our recycle bins that we used to when they were out there at Forest Street. So I cut those down a little bit, but in general, it's not much has changed there.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Dave? Any further?
Yeah, the big uncertainty for me, for everybody, I guess, in the industry in terms of our projects, since they're petroleum heavy, is, I don't know, I got estimates that I've
Yeah,
come up
how do you
with,
know?
but
Yeah.
who knows what
That's so
oil's gonna
volatile
be
right now that-
come bid time next spring.
Dave, how long have you been in your position?
20, in my position, 19 years?
Okay, so we've been talking
No,
about
20
all the
years now.
department heads about this. Do you have a succession plan?
I have an assistant at this point, yep, who is professional engineer as well. So,
Okay. I'm not going to ask you when you're going to retire, but just if you've
Yep.
got somebody in the fold that you're developing is what's important.
yep, I mean,
Never read-
ultimately that decision is the county boards,
Oh, yeah.
at that point. Obviously, because it has to be an appointment.
I think you've got a retirement or two coming up.
Oh, so yeah, this year I do, two declared retirements. One is, Brenda, the office manager, so currently, trying to figure out how to get that role filled, although I am also, looking at getting somebody more on the technical/technician side. And hopefully they can do a little bit of the administrative as well,
Mhm.
but I'm leaning more towards that in the hire.
Finding both of those skills in one person.
It
kind of a
is
challenge.
kind of a pipe dream, but I'm trying. I'm trying.
Have you advertised that yet?
Oh, yeah, and got some apps in and stuff, but we're,
So it's very near future then.
yes, very near. Yeah, her retirement will be towards the end of November this year. And then I have one maintenance worker, at the end of October.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anything
Thanks,
else?
Dave.
Yep.
Anybody? All right. Well, thank you very much, Dave.
You bet.
Appreciate everything you do, man. Is everybody good if we keep moving?
Yeah, let's get her done.
Making sure there was nothing else I
What do we
needed to
got
say.
Yeah, I guess just let Jeremy or Reed know so we can be notified.
Yep.
So.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. All right, next on the agenda would be the Sheriff's Department. Looks like we have Sheriff Whalen with us and Derek, what's your chief deputy? That's right. Welcome, gentlemen. All right, if you would, thanks for coming this morning and you would, just on the budget as we see it here, and I know there's gonna be some question marks, especially, with payroll a little bit, but as far as, what we have here is, would you highlight the things that you know we need to take care of or we need to take a look at and?
You're just going down the list of what we requested. You know, obviously, since it's a negotiations year, we're kind of in limbo as what the salaries are going to be. So we haven't even started negotiations yet with the Fraternal Order of Police. I guess jumping on down, like clothing allowance, if you're looking at that line item, we had budgeted 20,000. We asked for 5,000 more. Right now we're at, it looks like we're at, projected to be 15,000. So we're looking good there, but I don't know how. New hire costs, looks like we're projected to be at almost 90,000. We were budgeted for 30. We're asking for 50. We're forecasting a couple, new hires, with potentially a couple people leaving. Maintenance, we got multiple maintenance agreements.
Can you explain those, what those are?
Like DigiTicket, for our tickets, like we have to pay them like $24,000 a year, 29,000.
What's a digit ticket?
That's our digital ticketing in the squads.
Okay, so you don't have you email something, it's all paperless?
It's all paperless, yeah. And then it gets transmitted to the circuit clerk's office.
And that's a software program or something you're paying for?
Yep. And then Starcom radios, we have to pay per radio every year. So that's in the area of probably 30,000. Yeah.
So is there an escalator in all these projects? That's why there's 40,000 additional asked for?
Well, because if you look over, we're projected to be at 145 this year. If you look under.
Right.
So we're already over.
So, yeah, so I'm just-
Quite possibly being over by that much.
Correct.
So
Well, yeah, Motorola prices increase every year.
So that's what this 40,000 is, this escalation on almost every maintenance agreement, there's an escalator.
Yes.
Especially with Motorola, those are set by the state every year. So those,
Okay.
those continue to rise, which we've had discussions with Motorola, trying to work with the state to try to get a better scale.
Mhm.
But that all kind of comes down to Springfield.
Obviously, gas and oil, we're projected at 122. We asked for 110 this year. With the situation, I'm asking for 140, just to kind of cover the bases. Inmate food and meals, looks like we're projected at 185. We asked for 175. So I'm asking for 195 for next year. Obviously, the cost is going up.
And this is food and meals for inmates?
Inmates, correct.
Okay. And what's your average occupancy in the county jail these days?
Right now, it's like this morning was 41. We've been hovering right around low 40s. When I started 3 years ago, we were at like 55, but the Safety Act dropped
Right.
us a little bit.
Right. Do you know what you kind of average over the year or, per day?
It's
40?
but 40s, low 40s,
And how many beds do we have?
96.
96. Okay. And how many jailers do we have?
16.
16, full-time,
Mhm.
full-time jailers.
Let's see. If you go to dispatch, well, we're having a little staffing shortage, so we're way over on overtime this year to do our minimum staffing. Hopefully that'll get back in line next year. We've had 2 lateral hires, which have proven to be very good thus far. They've been able to hit the ground running, but they're still in training until they're released. I don't really-
How many dispatchers do you have?
10, we got 10 authorized. Currently, we've got 9. We're looking to hire our 10th.
I believe there was a time where we were down to, not that we
We were down to 7.
Yeah, I mean, even
And that's
maybe you
why
get
the
only
overtime.
6 active
Yeah,
at a
we had
particular
one.
time.
Yeah, so,
And then there's a training period and
yes. Yeah.
Your medical's up 67%. Is that their normal? I know they go up every year, but that seems higher than usual.
Medical, inmate medical?
Inmate medical?
Don't know
So
why that's.
last year, we were what?
Well, so last year in terms of setting it was probably a little bit of a transition year because we did transition from an
Contract.
outside service providing medical services. Was it ACH or something like
Mhm.
that, right? Okay. And then we hired internally a part-time nurse and is it a nurse practitioner to oversee some of those things. So those are costs that you now see in the labor line, right? And so we shifted a lot of that last year up to the labor line. But if you look at the previous years under that inmate medical, right, you're at
Okay.
130 grand roughly, right? But now we're projecting 50.
Okay.
So part of that is that shift.
So that's shifted the labor then. also.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Yep.
I guess one of the benefits of the Safety Act, which there can't be many, is that you got less inmates, you got less medical expenses, maybe? No?
That hasn't proven, yeah.
No? I understand. I've been in the ER several times in the last week, and I think I've seen inmates. I don't know if they're from the Dixon Correctional Center or if they're from your jail, but I see them all the time in the ER.
Yeah.
And that's
Probably mostly
that's-
Dixon
That's the
Correctional.
taxpayer
Mhm.
paying that medical.
Yep. Gotta treat
and
them.
you got a lot of frequent flyers that are in and out, right?
Correct. We have a pretty high recidivism.
Do you
rate.
guys put them in black and white striped suits like or is that Dixon Correctional?
That's us,
That's
black
you?
and white, yeah.
Okay.
That was, I think Sheriff Bivens did.
Sheriff
brought
Bivens
that
started
one
that.
on.
Yeah. You
So
still, they still are in black and white.
Yeah, we continued the
Tradition.
tradition, yes.
Got it. I think it's a good one.
Any other questions for us?
I'm just curious, are we doing well with people doing videos to the courthouse, or do you have to transport a lot of prisoners?
There's some we have to transport, but then they do a lot of arraignments, a lot of the Safety Act that the probation department will have to do an intake on them.
They just do the video.
They do that through the video.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's helped out tremendously.
All right, thank
But
you.
yeah, there's still transport costs.
Okay.
But mostly video.
It's mostly video. That's one good thing that came out of COVID.
Yeah, yeah,
If there is anything.
yeah. Huh, good. I have no questions to read.
Yeah, I don't think I do either. And any of you others? So, all right, well,
That was easy.
Wow. You're not asking to hire people at 500.
No, trying to get her ones that we hired up and out.
And you brought reinforcements.
Right, exactly.
no fancy PowerPoint presentation though. That was impressive last year.
It was.
But no, that's all right. Not we won't require that every year.
Thanks for what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Guys weren't brutal at all.
No, I know.
I guess if anybody needs to stretch their legs or anything, we got a little time before the judges appear, so
They're not here.
no, not yet. They weren't due till 11 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least let the judges know we're ready to go.
Let's,
Okay, now everybody's got to behave.
we're gonna resume here again. So welcome back, Ally. And next on the agenda, we have the judges, public defender and the assistant public defender. So Jackie yep, just if you would come up and join us, that'd be great. How are you today? We're good. We're good. Things
Hey,
have been
Your
rolling
Honor.
along fine.
Your Honor, it's good to see you.
Well, what can you tell us about your budget this year? We've got we've got a list here in front of us of what you're looking for. Oh, that's the wrong one there. There we go.
Much different. Last year, one difference we noticed is we had contractual services. What I was proposing to do last year, I removed one position. Am I not
There we
on?
go.
Sorry. Last year, I removed a position, contract position, which was 36,000. This year, I have one position that's split into two people, and I'm proposing to remove 1/2 of it. But instead of the 36 being divided into two, my proposal would be to keep 24 to pay the one contract attorney, eliminate the other. So it reduces my budget by 12,000 this year. I'll tell you why I'm doing that though. Why I've been removing that money was to try to give assistance to the public defender because they need another assistant. And so I'm trying to free up money through my budget to try to help you guys approve another position there. We also have public defender funds we've been using the last few years. They also applied for a grant last year through the federal government that's helped them pay the law clerks. So we were able then to not have to use the money from our state grant. We've been pretty good about grants. I don't know if you've noticed. So we're trying to save the county as much money as we can and still get the service and provide the services to the community that we expect and they should expect.
Who
So-
provides your grant?
Go ahead.
Who provides your grant services? Who does that for you?
Well, I don't know what you mean.
Who applies for the grants or finds
So-
them, finds the grants that you could qualify for?
So the state one was an automatic grant that AOIC, which is Administrative Office of Illinois Courts, they provided to all counties except for Cook County. That is going to change with the new state public defender system. We don't know after this year. We're getting more funds this year, but we don't know next year, next fall, what that's going to look like because we'll have a new state public defender in place. There could still be funds. We just don't know at this point. And Will will tell you when he gets up here, this year they gave Lee County $97,000. We don't have the money yet. We'll get it in the next couple months for the year. for us to use.
Checks in the mail.
But yeah, but they're good. We
They're
get
good,
it.
yeah.
We get the money. And we are able to spend that however we wish for public defender services. We've utilized that in the past for law clerks, some remodeling in the public defender's office, services they needed, computers, equipment, et cetera. Then last year, it came to my attention that there was a Bureau of Justice federal grant for public defender services. I shared that with Bob Thompson, and he actually had his law clerks fill that out.
Do the
So-
application.
and we were approved. And what that did was helped pay the law clerks, which we were using the state money to pay for. So we were able to free up some of that
Mhm.
money and accomplish even more.
You have some
Okay.
flexibility as to how you can use it.
The federal one is stricter on how you can use it, but it does apply for law clerks, I think, and Will can correct me. I think it also gives back money for the secretary, a small amount.
Why don't we bring Will up here and he can sit at the microphone.
Charlie, want to join us? You're not alone.
Yeah, come on up here. We got one more. There you can sit here. We can then kill, yeah, put everybody at the table.
Oh, yeah.
Morning, gentlemen. Mike?
Whoa, how bad do you want your money? You want your budget approved?
Well, yeah, I'll, first to address the elephant in the room. No, I am not Bob Thompson in disguise. My name is Will Fox. I'm the Chief Public Defender here after Bob's retirement in April. I have worked for the county since May of 2012. I started as an unpaid intern in Henry Dixon State's Attorney's Office and continued to work there with the exception of my 1L year of law school from May of 2012 through November of last year when I went over to the Public Defender's Office to work under Bob's tutelage before taking over as for him as department head.
We're not going to hold that against you.
I very much appreciate that.
Just teasing.
So anyways, the question we had was about the ICJIA grants, which is administered by the Bureau of Justice Administration. So for this current fiscal year, I believe, Reed, help me if I'm wrong here, I think it's $12,000 or $13,000 of my office manager's salary and benefits are being reimbursed from the grant. This next fiscal year, we actually just resubmitted our grant application for renewal of the grant for the next year to continue employing our law clerks. And in addition to Nikki's salary and benefits, we'll also be seeking reimbursement of some of my first assistant public defender Seth's salary and benefits for $23,000 approximately. Salary and benefits that will hopefully be reduced from my budget here, the bottom line for the public defender's budget for the year. So yeah, if that gets approved and everything we've talked to with our grant administrator, we assume we'll be getting reimbursement of approximately 4 hours worth of salary and benefits weekly for my office manager.
I've had a lot of experience with working on grants and getting economic development stuff. And the biggest fear is always is that, you build this into your structure and then the grants disappear.
Sure.
So, and then of course your local government has to make it up. So you're feeling pretty confident about kind of where these funds are coming from and how redundant they might be. I mean, your budget from the county standpoint is pretty small. You're obviously funded through all these other sources, but
Right.
it's always my fear at local government as to what this might look like if it all failed.
Agreed. And we're aware of that. And we're always seeking out grants and we've been pretty successful. We've had drug court grants multiple times, Veterans Treatment Court grant, to offset a lot of the expenses for the county. With respect to the Public Defender's Office in particular, the new law starting in January, the state is supposed to be reimbursing the public defender the same as they do the state's attorney. So you should see that Will's position himself is going to be reimbursed at 95%. Well, he gets 95% of state's attorney's salary. Then there's this weird formula of, but it turns out to be more than that because it goes back to the old law. It was 66 1/3 at that time, and anything above that was 100%. So it's not 2/3, it's more than 2/3 they reimburse.
Yeah, so I can speak to how Charlie's, the state's attorneys has worked since they put that in place, right? So I think if I did my math right, it was right around like the late 80s, early 90s when this was put into place. But essentially at that time, yes, they covered 66 2/3. Every year after that, they take on all of the increase. So basically the amount that the county funds for Charlie's salary has stayed consistent, or the state's attorney has stayed consistent all of that time. I believe it's like $1,091 a month. And it has remained that way. So over time, the state pays more and more of the state's attorney's salary, and we as a county have only been responsible for roughly that 12,000 since 1990-ish.
And that will be right, he's affordable. And that will be the same for the public defender. Now, this year's budget appropriation, I'm not certain that's going to take place. it should be next July 1, under the statute, that is how it's going to be. They've been pretty good. I know there's always skepticism. It's been pretty solid. I mean, as Reed just said, that's what it's been for the state's attorney. That's what this whole state public defender system is supposed to do for the public defenders statewide also.
So yeah, the passage of the FAIR Act was designed to remedy discrepancies in funding and resources for public defenders' offices as opposed to state's attorneys' offices. So the big way that the FAIR Act does this is to create that statewide public defender to assist with resources for the county public defenders. That includes the disbursement of the public defender fund that Judge Acker was talking about previously. Also, they've changed the formula, as she was saying, where it used to be, I mean, what I've budgeted for here in terms of reimbursements is 66 2/3% of my salary, but moving forward, that's supposed to change. The section that got amended says the state must pay 66 2/3% of the public defender's annual salary. And then the change effective January 1st says that the county, if the chief county public defender is employed full-time in that capacity, his or her salary must be at least 95% of the county state's attorney's annual compensation and will be eligible for the same amount of state reimbursement as that county state's attorney under section 4-2001. And that's the section that gives us that weird formula that we were just talking about with what his salary was in 1988 plus whatever.
Right, so back to my budget.
We're all over the board here, aren't we?
Well, was explaining what modifications I've made to my budget the last 2 years to assist the county to help support the public defender's office because, and he will get into all the numbers with you. We desperately need that third attorney. It's just overwhelming, the amount of work we have to do right now.
Is it, what would you suggest that's due to? I mean, the workload has always been
Well,
there?
things have changed. Models have changed. Pretrial fairness really put a big burden on a state's attorney's office, public defender's office. So the amount of discovery work alone that they have to review, and you think you're running an office with 2 attorneys and you're covering 4 courtrooms. And as much as I try to schedule things so there aren't conflicts, they're just inevitable. It's inevitable there are conflicts.
So how many are in your office?
So I have, including myself, 3 total employees. Myself, my first assistant public defender.
And
and my
you're looking
office
at, you need 1 more or 2 more in which office?
We need 1 attorney in Will's
And
office,
one
in
more
the public
officer.
defender's office.
And don't you need more here too?
Fill the one I have.
Yeah, I
You
can't
got
fill
a
the one that I
you
have
got a
open, yeah,
vacancy.
yeah.
You do.
And so
But he has, how many assistants now? 5?
Yes, yep.
So there's 6 attorneys in the state's attorney's office, and
Okay.
there's 2 attorneys in the public defender's office. Just on-call alone, think of on-call. I know most people don't realize what we do at the courthouse, but we're 24/7, 365. You know, the office hours are one thing, the phone calls at night, the FAIR Act, the pretrial act, everything. Every weekend, someone from the public defender's office has to be available to talk to people that got arrested because we now have to either set conditions or release people with conditions or detain them until Monday. So he has him and another guy. So they're rotating every week. Charlie has the benefit of having more that he can rotate. They don't have to do it as often. And that's only one example, small example of the burden placed on the public defender's office. He also has to cover every day. They're appointed to represent anyone that's been arrested. They cover the jail call every day, detention hearings, which yesterday alone, we have our jail call, which we hope lasts maybe 20 minutes. It was 2.5 hours yesterday. Right. So that means all the appointments he had
Pretty
scheduled, any
long-winded.
review,
Got
you know,
pushed.
it just doesn't happen. At one point, before I got rid of the contract position, we had someone contracted to cover misdemeanors, so the public defender's office under Bob and Doug didn't handle misdemeanors. So they were able to spread themselves amongst the courtrooms. I got rid of my position, which means public defender has to cover misdemeanors. So now they have juvenile, felony, misdemeanor, all pretrial. It's a lot.
Now, are you able to deal with, I mean, it's now legal since COVID to do video when you've got somebody that's going to be
Yeah.
Arraigned. It's arraigned.
We
You can do it
handle
by
that all
video.
We handle that by video.
You can do that by video, and is that's all legal, and they don't have to appear in present.
As long as I have the order in place, as the chief judge of the circuit, which I'm currently serving as long as I have the order in place that
Operational challenge.
operational challenges require us to use video, and our operational challenges at our jail is 2 miles away from our courthouse.
Yeah,
So it would be unduly burdensome to make our sheriff's department transport back and forth.
yeah.
So I have that order in place. I intend to keep that order in place, so we
Sure.
handle things by video.
And in terms of, what's I trying to say? In regards to just the overall caseload, I mean, how much is that increasing, or the Safety Act is done?
It's-
What all has happened here?
So in terms of responsibilities that I have, obviously, yeah, the Safety Act has imposed significant greater work for public defenders throughout the state. So every county is different. Some counties still convene full courtroom proceedings on weekends. Obviously, as Judge Acker was alluding to, we do have weekend court. Usually that involves me contacting the on-call assistant state's attorney, determining if there are proposed conditions of release, and then I have to call the jail, contact my client, talk to them, make them understand what those conditions are. Prior to the Pretrial Fairness Act, it was, and I was an assistant state's attorney for all those years, it was just me calling the judge and saying, here's my bond recommendation, and Bob and Doug were left out of it until these last few years. So that's been an additional burden placed on public defenders, at least as to how we conduct our weekend court. Obviously piggybacking off of what Judge Acker said, as far as my caseload, of course, they were all considered part-time, right? But there were 3 attorneys that were dividing this work prior to this year. Prior to April 11th, when Bob retired, we had overlapping, and that was, as we touched on about using the public defender fund to help pay for the salary and benefits for this.
Right, and you're
proposed new
full-time,
hire. I
right?
am, yeah.
Right, and
Right.
your assistant.
My assistant is full-time.
Full-time.
Correct. So we have 2 full-time attorneys. We had
So
3 part-time.
you went
attorneys.
from 2 part-time,
3 part-time.
3 part-time attorneys to 2 full-time.
Correct.
Full-time. But part-time's kind of a misnomer. Doug
Yeah.
and Bob were there pretty
Right.
much full-time.
Okay.
They were treated as part-time, then they could maintain a private practice as well, but they were pretty much full-time.
So with all the arrests that occur, how many need a public defender versus have their own?
So I have data on that.
Will's got nice stats.
If you didn't, it should be in your onboard, the presentation I put together. So the whole caseload is on page 6. So there are 602 filings, criminal and juvenile abuse and neglect. That does not include major traffic cases, which are like misdemeanor, driving while license suspended, and things of that nature. There are hundreds of those filed every year as well. I just literally didn't have the time and trying to put all this data together to skim through those and see how many I had been appointed to as an average. 382 of those on average, and that's caseload kind of averaged over the last 4 years. I had 22.
One a day.
Yeah, yeah. And so as an average caseload, about 191 split up between Seth and I, my assistant, and then approximately 83 for Charlie and his assistants. Obviously, it says 7 attorneys. It's true, he has one unfilled position right now, but as far as funding purposes for what my budget request is.
To see the picture though, prior to the Pretrial Fairness Act, when we had misdemeanors appear in court, we didn't have a public defender present for that, for the initial appearances, because we didn't, at that point, the court's arraigning them, asking them if they want an attorney. If they qualify for public defender, we would give them another court date. Now, because we have to set conditions, we have to have a public defender there. So there's a standing order that exists that appoints the public defender every single day at 8 a.m. for anyone that's been arrested. So it's increased the responsibilities. They have to appear now for all felonies and all misdemeanors at that initial appearance, which was never the case before 2023. So it's really increased the workload for the public defender. And we're just talking about court appearances. We're not talking about all the discovery, because during that same law, there's all of this body cam footage that now has to be turned over and reviewed. We've mandated body cams, so now you have all of that. And so now his office has to go through all of that as well. So the out of the courtroom responsibilities have increased. I can't even guess what percentage that increases, but it's tremendous.
I work late
With-
most days.
with-
You can
with-
drive past the parking lot over there. You'll see my
with,
silver
uh,
Ford Fusion sitting there.
With, 3 full-time,
Yeah.
attorneys, would, we be able to possibly, I mean, you've got, requesting 73,000 in contractual services. Would that be able to be something that would be, drawn from then, lowered that down some, or what's your viewpoint on that? Because I assume the contractual services,
Is this in the judge's budget or your?
no, this is in the
No.
public defenders.
Okay. Show me where. I don't have a contractual
about
services
the-
line in front of me.
This would be, on our sheet at least, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7th line down.
Gotcha.
Public defender
Okay.
grant.
So, okay, yeah, I apologize. So that is, yeah, and then Reed can go ahead and fill in why.
Yeah,
the-
so
why
that's in
that
the,
way.
you're looking in the public defender grant, right? Off to the left
Yeah.
side, that's telling us what the fund is, right? That is our law students. It's under contractual services, because we're paying them as, independent contractors, 1099 employees, not through a W-2. So that is,
It's actually more than just the law clerks though, because we have under my budget, I have contractual services as well. And what we did with the public defender grant was give them additional funds out of the grant because they basically were working for us pretty cheap. So that's why that's so high. It was law clerks and those contract attorneys
out of the,
out of the public defender grant.
this one?
this is out of
Yeah.
Will's federal one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is
Oh,
money,
this is your
money
federal?
appropriated from the
Okay.
BJA.
Sorry.
Grant.
That-
Sorry,
that
I was
no,
confusing.
no, that was actually a consideration when building this grant is we have 2 grants that want to be called the public defender grant. We had to figure out how to differentiate them.
My confusion.
So the contractual services, yes, is, I don't have any contractual services in the county's budget. This is just
Okay.
what I requested from the federal government in that grant that we received. And so that's paying the law clerks that Judge Ecker was talking about earlier.
Okay, I thought maybe it was something similar to your contractual budget or.
No,
line item
the
there.
county general line, obviously, I got a pretty simple budget. I got salaries and
Yeah.
benefits and $5,000 of supplies and training and conference. There's not a lot there.
All right.
So Will, this budget does not show that extra person.
It does.
It does?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. The one thing that I'll say that's different that Reed adjusted when he gave me his printout yesterday is maybe I overshot on health insurance. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's kind of a guess. I guess I'll tell you guys my theory of how I do it. There's 3 people in the office now. Looking at where we're at in terms of health insurance. If we're talking about adding a person, I kind of look at, well, what are we charging? That's 3 people. Let's allocate it and make it 4. It's kind of a guess because that person that we hire could not need health insurance, could be family, could be single, and those change the numbers quite significantly. So
Yeah.
kind of taking an average of what the 3 have and applying it to if we had 4 people.
So yeah, as far as the salaries go, it's jumping, or it's going from,
so yeah,
let's see. 160 budgeted last year, or I guess 238 budgeted last year. Or that's where it looks like the estimated final number will be about 238. Is that
I'm
correct?
gonna say that probably has more to do with the transition periods of Bob, Doug retiring. There's also some added expenses to their retirements. There's additionally, we knew we wanted to get Will over there to work under Bob for a certain amount of time. Same thing with the transition for Seth's new assistant as well, right? We wanted to get them some overlap time, right? So that probably is what accounts for that difference.
Okay.
And it's the
and
estimated run rate is It's helpful, but the way I'm calculating that number is, hey, what have we spent so far this year? And trying to project out that we're going to spend that same amount. That is not going to be the case for that probably particular line item, because we would have been heavy in those expenses at the beginning of the year.
it's
We
just
have a
a
lot
little
of GL
coincidental
accounts,
that
and that
they're
would be a
within-
lot to adjust for.
Just a little coincidental that they're within $10,000.
Yeah.
More or
Yeah.
less.
So yeah, and a good portion of that was reimbursed from the public defender fund.
Okay.
So those extra, yeah, when we had talked about putting this plan into place for me to go over to the public defender's office, we had talked to Judge Ackert about paying my salary out of that for, while we had that overlap, because obviously they only had budgeted for Bob and Doug. And so, yeah, that extra money there is not county expense for what that's worth.
We're not trying to beat you up. We're just trying to
No,
make
those are
sure
fair
we're
questions.
understanding
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
And what I say from my point, not a dollars and cents type of thing when it comes to them requesting another attorney, but we had a really good public defender's office when Bob was here. He did great work for decades. And it's nice to see that great work and that success is continuing on with Will's office. We have a great relationship with Will's office. We're able to work well together. So as far as I'm concerned, what he needs to be successful, it makes our office more efficient too.
Okay. And that's an area, thank goodness, I don't understand it because I haven't spent a lot of time on that side for
Yeah.
at least knock on wood. So, no, it's much appreciated, the services that all of you do, so.
You want to come over on a Wednesday or Thursday, you can see how crazy it is.
You can sit in with 50 or 60 client meetings with me in an hour and a half.
They're also grateful to have him.
Public pretender.
We got some,
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
well, we kind of jumped around a little bit, but is there anything else that either of you would like to?
Jackie, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely.
Just to justify and maybe I missed it in your presentation, but how much in the last 2 years have you cut by the cuts you've made to help be able to fund this? For us to sell it.
Well, individual cuts to my budget have to be 48,000 at least. I've also authorized use of public defender grant money, as Will indicated, to pay for his salary and Seth's salary during these transition times. So that it
Okay.
didn't come from the county,
Right.
it came from that public defender grant. And that was a fairly significant amount of money.
But that's a one-time on that part.
That's a
I'm just,
one-time, right?
looking at,
Right.
if we move money from here to there, how much difference do we have to add that person is what I was looking
Yeah,
at.
so 48, and
Okay.
then you have to consider what I can't tell you is this. If I have to appoint people, then they're earning $150 per hour.
Right.
That there would be, I wouldn't have to do that as much
Okay.
because you have a third person there. It's
Yeah,
hard to
I-
give you the
no, I
exact number,
understand, I
but
understand.
you can run with at least 48,000.
Okay,
No.
that helps tremendously to justify,
Right, I mean, that would be a significant portion of a new person's salary. It wouldn't include benefits, obviously, but you're lucky. The three of us are pretty cognizant of taxpayer money.
Well, you are, and we
I mean,
appreciate
we're-
what you guys do
right,
that
we-
way. That's why I'm just trying to, as we sell this to the board,
Right.
what we've done.
But
And
we're
that-
trying to get you the best bang for your dollar.
Well,
And still meet our requirements and our responsibilities to the communities and to the administration of justice.
And is there any more possible? I know you're giving up a third of your, looking at least offering up a third of your contractual services. Is that still gonna, how does that leave you? Are you good, or do you have some extra room, or I don't wanna,
Yeah, no, I think.
don't wanna leave you too lean or anything.
Yeah, no, I think I'll be good. I couldn't cut anything more.
Okay.
The only other thing I think you would see in my budget is we increased the library amount just because the cost of our books and online subscription go up. I mean, we have no control over that. Something that we have to have, and we've limited over the last few years, several of the subscriptions that we used to get. We've eliminated them. So we're pretty lean on what we order for books, but we have to have the online service, and I don't control that price.
You see that, you'll see that same increase with mine as well with Westlaw.
Right.
They just build it in there that it goes
It's
up
just
every year.
it's
Yeah.
similar to somebody's maintenance agreements for
Yep.
Right.
different things.
Right. And that's just something we can't do without.
Curious, like, what impact, if any, is AI having? Are you guys using it? Can you use it?
Well,
Is it doing anything for you? Can it do
No.
anything for you? Okay.
AI has a great use if you're drafting a speech or a letter. It can give you a start point, maybe in some research, but our research, legal research would go through Westlaw. And they do have an AI component to Westlaw. But we're not gonna chat GPT. You've seen all the headlines on the cases that have gone bad. where
That'll get me
people-
disbarred.
Yeah, because I've gone to several trainings on AI. The one thing they know for certain is ChatGPT will always hallucinate cases.
Yep.
It will always do it. There's no way around it. And you can even, there are judges that have discussed, well, we'll just make the attorneys provide us a copy of the case. You tell ChatGPT to print the case, it will, and it looks
Yeah.
official,
Yep.
but it's not.
Pretty clever machine.
It's not.
And even as Judge Eckert's saying with Westlaw having its own AI, even that is flawed too.
Right.
The law and the research that we have to do with specific points, with specific issues that happen in a case is so nuanced that AI can't figure that out.
You almost have to fact check.
Correct, yep,
100%.
absolutely.
You do. It can
Yep.
give you a starting point to look at things, but then you really have to dive into it and
Charlie and I
verify
are
it.
responsible for what we file, and she'll sanction us if we
Yeah.
file something that is citing fake case law. That's bad for us.
Ally, do you have any questions? No? Jason, any further questions?
Maybe more of a comment or maybe a question. Since when I got onto the county board, I didn't understand so many things that, happen internally, and I still don't understand a lot of what happens internally in your world, but I don't really need to or want to, because if I'm in your world, I'm in the wrong place, I think. But how does it work? You're the judge, you're the public defender, and you're the state's attorney. And you're here because you have to work together on budgeting and so on and so forth. But you're on opposite sides of the issue. You are the neutral party. You are representing one interest and you're representing the. How does it really work that you can be completely objective in how you deal with each other?
So for my part, the relationship we have with the judge is going to be the same for Will and I in terms of,
Right.
We provide information, we provide facts, we provide argument as to why one side is right over the other. What I can say, and I don't want to speak for Will when it comes to this, but at least when Bob was here as well, we understand that, based on our job, we have an obligation on behalf of the people of the state of Illinois to do something and argue something out of public safety. The defense has an obligation and a responsibility to put forth the best defense that it has for their client. We see each other for what we're doing.
Because
and we
innocent until
understand.
proven guilty.
Correct. And we understand and respect each other's positions. And I think that's where it gets lost, is that sometimes you get so dug into the sand and so dug into what your argument's going to be, you forget the fact that the person on the other side is in fact still a human and still understands that their obligation. And it's good for us too, because Will came from my office. He understands how we look at something too. He understands that sometimes we have an obligation to do something and put forth that best effort for that case, even if he disagrees because of how he has to defend his client. Sometimes he gets it too in terms of, I know my client is guilty of this. How can I mitigate this enough that he doesn't have as much of a punishment here? Or how can I mitigate this enough to show you guys that, again, that defendant is still a person and should be treated this way?
It's, as I've told some assistant state's attorneys, young ones in the past, this is business, not personal. So we respect each other and the work you do, and we understand each other's roles and obligations. And I'm sure I've made decisions that Charlie didn't like or Will didn't like, but we all know we have a role to play. They do their best to present the case in front of me. I do my best to be objective, and I never make a decision on what shoes Charlie's wearing. or what suit Will has on. It's based on the law and the facts, and each case is individual. And so it's just, we work together to come present to you. We work together very well at the courthouse, but it's because we respect each other's roles and we understand each other's roles. And it's not personal. It's how we have to do business.
Yeah, the remedy when, when I feel Judge Ackert has gotten something wrong is to ask her to reconsider. And if she says, no, I feel good about it, then I appeal, right? That's the process we have in place. And, it is not personal, as she said, right?
You find yourself to save everybody's time and effort, and everybody is so busy and they've got such a load to handle. Just try to settle things before you actually have to get before a judge.
Well, there's in the criminal arena, there's what we call 402 conferences that the public defender and the state's attorney or any defense attorney, they can decide that, hey, they've negotiated back and forth and they've reached maybe an impasse and they want the judge's input. If the client approves and both sides agree, they decide to participate in what we call this 402 conference. They come back to me, not with the client, it's just the attorneys. They present their sides to me and what their recommendations are. And then I can make a recommendation as to what I believe should be the result. They take that back to the victim, to the defendant. And if they reach an agreement based on my recommendation, great. If they don't, we set it for trial.
And it really is a big part of understanding the value of a case. Every case is going to be different. Everything's going to have its pros or its weaknesses. And then figuring out also, Judge Ackert understands this, that we understand how our judge may rule on something. So getting dug in on something that we know that the judge is going to rule this way, it doesn't make sense to use dollars and cents trying a case on something that maybe we're 3 months apart, whether or not the sentence should be.
Okay.
The fact that you three work so closely together, I'm sure it offers some major efficiencies to the county as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would think.
We don't try a lot of cases here because Charlie and I are both able to be reasonable. I get my clients to offer accountability. He is runs a very reasonable office in terms of the offers that are coming out of there. And yes,
You mentioned appeals. How often do you file for an appeal?
pretty rare.
Pretty rare?
Yeah, it is. So that, from my perspective, as a defense attorney, is my client's decision. They have the right to appeal, and it's not a decision I can make for them. I can only tell them what their rights are. Because we do so much by agreement and have so few trials, there's very little opportunity for appeal. Even though theoretically somebody could move to withdraw their plea of guilty or something because they, have second thoughts about the offer or the agreement they negotiated, but it's exceedingly rare. So, I mean, we don't take a lot of appeals out of Lee County, I would tell you.
What would you say the majority of your office's function is on a year-to-year basis? What kind of things are you dealing with most of the time?
Most of the time, it's going to be criminal stuff. It's going
Criminal
to be,
stuff.
it's traffic misdemeanor, ordinance violations, juvenile delinquency, felonies. That's going to be the crux of it. We still do a lot of other stuff in addition to that when it comes to zoning stuff that's going on within the county. We represent the county in anything that's going to come down in a lawsuit. We are responsible for the tax cases that come through. We're responsible for, it still touches on the criminal, but extraditions. If somebody's here on a warrant and is being extradited to a different state, we deal with that.
What percentage of your work is really county board related?
Me specifically is quite a bit.
For you, it's
Me
quite a bit.
specifically, yeah.
With the
So
rest of
for my
your staff.
office, I don't delegate a lot of that stuff. I deal with the county board stuff primarily myself. There on occasion, I'll have Stephanie working on something in terms of research for an ordinance or something, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I've said this many times. I think Lee County functions at all levels very, very well because of the level of professionalism and the level of years of experience you all have, having a county administrator, having a finance director. I think we do in fact, when we asked the auditor at the most recent meeting that we had, said, how do we rate? And I think he gave us, as a county, from an accounting standpoint, gives us like an A-, because we can always improve. Everybody can always improve. But I think I was speaking highly of the whole organization, and you're part of that. So
We have a couple of cases that had to be assigned out of county, and we have Winnebago County judges coming down. And the chief judge from Winnebago County told me recently that his judges love coming to Lee County, that our system is very efficient. Everyone's very kind and respectful, and they love coming here.
Mm.
And that's a credit to these
Yeah.
guys and the way they run their offices.
Speaks well of everybody. Thank you.
And if you haven't had a chance, stop in and see my courtroom now.
Yeah, looks nice.
We did some, we got some new tech money, which was a tech grant that was free money to the county again, and
How recent was that? Since I was on?
yes.
Okay.
You need to come back.
She-
I've
she's
got a
constantly
tool to show
upgrading.
you.
Yeah, I spent my,
Gene, you gotta
I
come
spent my
in.
14 months of being there every month.
Yeah, no, you gotta come
Okay.
in. We have some really nice technology that's gonna greatly benefit our juries when we have jury trials.
It's pretty slick.
It's pretty nice.
How often do you have jury trials?
You know, you never know. And some of them are civil trial. In fact, the last couple trials I have been civil trials, but
And it does seem to ebb and flow that sometimes it's
Yeah.
just, there's just trials all the time going on. And then there's times where we go with a desert of trials.
I'm actually supposed to be in a jury trial right now that I had to continue because this
Yeah.
got set after I was scheduled. So Judge Friel Draper and I had a misdemeanor trial set for jury today that I had to continue for budget purposes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just to switch this back, is there anything on your budget you want to go over?
Uh,
We've
we-
kind of,
yeah.
we've kind of gone off track and I don't want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't
I was
mean
gonna
stepping
say
toes, but
the
okay.
same thing.
Yep,
so.
there's not much to address on mine. I think what you'll see is the contractual services, dues and subscriptions have changed a little bit. And a lot of that is going to be overlap with PBK, our case management software right now, as well as Tyler that we're switching over to in our case management software in February of 2027, having that overlap there. You'll see an increase in the salary line item. It's pretty straight across the board for all the employees, looking at about a 4% increase. But other than that, you'll see the longevity bonus, which is by our county code already, or the handbook. And, yeah.
Is there any expected attrition in either of your offices due to retirements or anything at all?
I don't believe so.
Pretty
I
young.
don't have any retirement ages right now, except for maybe a couple staff members, but yeah.
Okay.
Didn't mean to drag us off that
No.
great conversation, but I
Yeah.
thought we ought to at least
Yeah,
finish what we're
sure.
doing
Yeah.
before we get sidetracked.
Are there any more questions for the attorneys here and the judge?
I would say we've spent more time with you guys this year than we have in many years in the
Yeah.
past, but it's always nice to see what's
Thank you for
going on.
taking
and
time for
listen
us.
to
We
you.
appreciate
we
that.
appreciate it, and you're always welcome to come check out what we do.
You guys
We're
do,
kind of proud of our systems, so.
you do a great job and,
Yeah.
and everybody I served with on that jury was impressed with
Mhm.
the way things went at the courthouse.
Yeah, we still have statewide comes out to, they like to come out to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was glad they didn't want me any longer. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, the fact that we don't read a lot about you or see about you in the news is a good thing, I think, so.
We're not dressing up as Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, we got Tom Wilson to, he's gonna be working on that.
Thank you guys for what you do. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Well,
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for your time
All
this
right,
morning.
thank you very much.
Have a good day.
It's this Thursday, it must be going back to craziness. Huh?
I have to go to Freeport and
Oh,
meet the judge up there,
Oh.
so
all right.
have a good end. Good to see you.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to
No,
interfere.
I was just waiting for a break
Okay.
and so I could, because I didn't want him to take
Yeah.
off work.
Yeah, I know.
without addressing it, or
We're on the
I
same
was
page.
just gonna ask him if he needed them to, if he wanted them to stay here or. Anyway,
Last year, we approved going to a full-time state or public defender
Right.
mhm,
and two, and now here we are.
yeah.
And she makes a good point. She brought 40,000.
We needed to discuss it and hear it from him. Is there anything else we need to discuss, within?
Just our next meeting will be the 18th, is that correct?
I will not be here for that one.
You will not be here?
I'll be out.
We don't have any reason to go into executive session today, so. There a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Jason? Michael, seconds? Meeting adjourned. Well, if everybody
All in
says
favor
yes,
says
all in
aye.
favor,
Aye.
say aye. Meeting adjourned.